Well, welcome back to part two of driving in the Midwest, and I am getting ready to enter into Illinois. So I'm coming out of Wisconsin. Just left there if you saw my last video. I'm working my way south, so I'll be driving through pretty much the top of Illinois, down into St. Louis, Missouri, just crossing the river to see the Gateway Arch. And then from there, kind of into southern Illinois, and then over into Indiana. So it's going to be very similar to last video, just a lot of, just a recap of what I've seen and where I've been going. So hopefully you enjoy. One of the main things I wanted to do while driving in the Midwest was just to stay out of the cities. I didn't really want to go to Chicago. I just didn't have any desire to be around that many people. So I tried to stay in the country and off the highway as much as possible. And I found this little covered bridge just kind of tucked away. And I explored there for a little bit. I'm not exactly sure when it was built, but it's a beautiful covered bridge. And underneath, there were quite a few birds that were nesting up underneath there. So it was pretty cool to see them doing their thing. So from the covered bridge, I made my way down to this town called Peoria. I think I'm pronouncing that right, but it's actually a pretty big town. And it was a nice overnight area before I got into Springfield, so I decided to walk around the city. This was a Sunday. But it's, like I said, it's a rather large town, a lot of older buildings. And just a really cool town to explore. There's different statues and murals and a bunch of different restaurants and places to shop. So it was really nice for me before I got into Springfield. I found a Cracker Barrel and I was good for the night. In the morning, I left Peoria and made my way down to Springfield, and Springfield is the state capital of Illinois. And this area of Illinois is definitely known as Land of Lincoln. Lincoln was very involved in Illinois politics, and one of the things that Springfield has is Lincoln's home. It's a National Historic Site, and you can take tours of the only home that Mr. Lincoln owned. They have the street where his house is. It's been kind of preserved and taken back to what it would have looked like when he lived there. But just a really cool part of the city to explore. President Lincoln is buried in Springfield, Illinois. There's a memorial that you can walk through, and you can see basically a crypt, but you walk through the bottom of this memorial and it takes you back into the area where he is buried, along with his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, and two of the three sons that he had. It is free to walk through, and the memorial itself was actually paid for by donations from people all across the country after his assassination. From Lincoln's tomb, I walked back down into downtown Springfield and I went to the State Capitol building. The State Capitol building was actually completed in 1888, and it is the tallest domed State Capitol building in the country at 361 feet. And I've seen quite a few state capitol buildings on my trip, but I have to say, honestly, this is probably the most beautiful state capitol building I have seen. The architecture and the artwork and the sculpting is just incredible. Not to mention, this is just a really large building, and they do offer tours. I think once an hour, they're free. They take you around and tell you about the building. But just beautiful to walk around. And like any other state capitol building, you have to go through, a security screening to get in. But once you're in, you can pretty much explore just about everywhere. Any rooms where the doors are open, you can feel free to walk through. And anywhere that they want to keep you out of, the doors are locked. So you pretty much have free roam of wherever you want to go. So after seeing everything that I wanted to in Springfield, I made my way kind of southwest into St. Louis, Missouri to go check out the Gateway Arch. All right, so before I get into that, I kind of want to just show everybody where I parked and how I got to the arch. So I parked up on this side of the river, and it is a parking lot for the train station there, but there's also a casino, and there is a stairway that takes you up to this bridge, and I walked across the bridge and came back on the north side of Gateway Arch National Park, kind of walking area. And then from there, made my way down to the arch. And I think from the parking lot to the actual arch, or to the entrance to the visitor center entrance, was a little over a mile, so it wasn't too bad. And where I parked was actually for free. And I came back and there were no tickets on my windshield, so I was happy about that. But it worked out, and it was a nice little walk, and you can see the skyline really well. Construction of Gateway Arch began in 1963 and lasted until 1965, and it is the world's tallest arch at 630 feet, and it really commemorates the western expansion of the United States. There is quite a large park that surrounds the arch itself, and it is a fully accessible building. You can take a tram on either side of the arch all the way up to the top. Underneath the arch is a museum kind of dedicated to Western expansion as well as construction of the arch. There's a movie theater, a restaurant, a gift shop, and the park information center. As I mentioned, there are trams that take you up to the top of the arch. They are scheduled trams, so make sure you do that. I think you have to book online. And I believe a tram ticket is $17. I did not go up to the top because me and heights just do not get along, but a lot of people were. So after spending the night in the St. Louis area, I drove about 3 hours east towards Indianapolis. I wasn't really sure what to expect driving into Indianapolis. I know it's a pretty large town, but one thing that I really wanted to explore is the Indiana World War Memorial, and it's in this building right here, and it kind of houses artifacts from pretty much every major war that the U.S. has been in, so I definitely wanted to add that to my bucket list. The building was actually constructed to memorialize soldiers and veterans from World War I. So on the lower levels is the museum, and then above that is this massive atrium that is a really large memorial to veterans, fallen soldiers, and it's just a massive atrium, a beautiful flag that's hanging in the middle, and then there's depictions along the wall from different types of battles that were fought during World War I. And from there, I just kind of meandered my way around downtown Indianapolis. I found this beautiful soldier and sailor monument, which had a really nice fountain around the bottom of it. And Indianapolis is the state capital of Indiana, so I definitely had to check out the Capitol building, and I took a tour, walked around, and explored. You know, I really didn't plan on visiting as many state capitol buildings as I did, but I'm really glad that I did, because each state capitol building is different from the next. They really try to, from what I found anyways, highlight architecture that is specific to their state, as well as using, you know, rocks and stone from their state as well. So each capitol building is just fascinating in its own right. Illinois and Indiana were very similar to Minnesota and Wisconsin, just for the fact of, you know, their agriculture is very much the same. Minnesota and Wisconsin were very flat. Illinois and Indiana started to become a little bit more hilly, a lot more trees, and more water as well. Lots of rivers, ponds, lakes, things like that. So it was interesting to see the geographical change as I came through. But another two really beautiful states in the Midwest. I did skip over Nebraska and Kansas and Oklahoma. I wasn't able to get down that far. Next trip. But yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed this little recap of me in the Midwest. And with that, you know, it pretty much ends this trip. I'm going to be in Ohio for a little bit, visiting some family. I've been to Ohio before. I've kind of explored that state, but I'll be hitting a few things along the way. But this kind of ends, you know, my trip, and it's kind of surreal to think that it's coming to an end. I'm going to do a little recap video once I get back into Pennsylvania and kind of talk to everybody about what I've done in general, where I've been, how my budget's been going, and all that kind of fun stuff. So I have one more video yet for this trip. So, but until then, thank you for watching this one. Thanks for sticking it out to the end of another one, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.